Welcome to the Legal Lounge here on CRN Digital Talk Radio, streaming live coast to coast around the world on crntalk.com. Also available in stunning high-definition video on facebook.com/CRN Talk. Also available anywhere you find high-quality content on Tiki Live, of course on CRN's custom Roku channel, available for free in the Roku store, and of course on crntalk.com. I'm joined as always by the one and the only, an active attorney, U.S. Army veteran, Juris Doctorate in Law, undergraduate degree in physics, and author of a book that has proven to be a guideline for the Supreme Court now and in the future. That book, America: An Illusion of Freedom, is available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and on iTunes. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Richard Nixon. You can check him out on AM 870 The Answer, and it's the show that gives you the news you get nowhere else. How are you, Richard?
I'm just fine, and I'm elated. I don't know that I should be, but after the extreme shock of Mr. Kirk's
assassination.
Yes, unfortunate demise, I guess. But my point is, I'm kind of over that. And in fact, it was just appropriate because I don't know how many people, or maybe you did, Mike, if you caught the president with another conference with his cabinet. I don't know if the word conference is a proper description, but anyway, he's surrounded with a number of these people. This is really a pre-Gaza. It's just talking about what's happening on, and I not only was I just so surprised and pleasantly amazed by the brain of this man, Mr. Trump, the idea that he even cares so much about things and that he's saw to it that we have probably the most educated, informed, articulate people that he could possibly have, notwithstanding the fact that they may be not necessarily in agreement with Mr. Trump and his politics. It's who is the most informed on the item and who could do the best job and who would inform the president. And then the president, of course, makes up his own mind. But anyway, what we did, even Marco was there. And, of course, Marco's got 3 or 4 jobs like everybody likes to kid about.
He sure does.
The point is, a number of people, he gave the time for them to speak. Each one was very, very impressive on his own. And I'm just happy and thrilled to be part of a country that has a government that appears to be really, really outstanding.
Yeah, it's quite interesting when, all 3 branches of government are controlled by, one party.
Yes.
How much can get done. And it's very interesting about that. Of course, we're going to talk a lot today about, we're going to briefly touch on the government shutdown, of course. We were, and Mr. Trump actually just announced that all troops will be paid for the duration. So all service members will be paid as long as this shutdown takes place. But we got a big show today. We're going to talk about a very interesting case concerning criminal law. And this was, Richard and I had a great prep session discussion about this case because, when criminal law, there's just, so many different avenues where things can go.
Yes. And
arguments that can be made. And so that's going to be an interesting one. And we're going to talk about capital gains and specifically some legislation introduced by Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, who wants to eliminate capital gains on the sale of primary residences, which is something that you and I have talked about for a long time.
Absolutely, yes.
And I know that the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association has been lobbying for a really long time as well. Stick around, you guys. We are in the Legal Lounge, CRN Digital Talk Radio, crntalk.com, streaming live coast to coast around the world. As always, all past and previous sessions are available on YouTube, also on Facebook, on Richard's Facebook, Richard Nixon. You can find him on Facebook, and also on CRN Digital Talk's Facebook. Stay with us, folks.
Hi, everyone. Super Bowl champ Vernon Davis here from Legal Help Center. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up, because we have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. You can find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. The call is free. The consultation is free. And you can speak with a live agent right now. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident of any kind, call now to find out if you have a case and how much you could potentially get.
Thanks, Vernon. You heard it, folks. If you've been injured, call and find out how much you qualify for. Call 800-745-9090. That's 800-745-9090. 800-745-9090. Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
We are back in the Legal Lounge. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Check out Richard's fantastic book, America, An Illusion of Freedom. I know there's a lot of 1 L's and 2 L's and 3 L's, maybe about a month into law school. It really helps you out. It's a fantastic read as well. Reads like a novel. It's America, An Illusion of Freedom. It's available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and on iTunes. Richard, before we get into the meat of the show,
Yes.
I want to have your counsel about something, because I mean, as listeners to this show, we've done over 140 episodes. Have heard I have a lot of people in my life who are not Trump fans.
Oh, yeah.
Who are not conservatives. They are dyed-in-the-wool liberals, and I love them. Politics
Sure.
Ends at the water's edge. And they've commented a lot, Richard, specifically with a lot of the rulings from the shadow docket in the Supreme Court that, the Supreme Court is in Trump's pocket, that there's this evil cabal between the Supreme Court, the six conservative justices, and the president, that they, they're completely in the tank for the president. I'd like to know your comments on that.
Well, again, I would ask the person to put themselves in a position where, let's just say, let's take a sports analogy, where you're both fans of a particular baseball club or football team, and so-and-so quarterback does so-and-so, and he gains 6 points, and you've got a guy next to you, and you're slapping hands and drinking a beer with them. The fact that two guys agree to something does not mean you're colluding. In fact, what caused you to agree was an element separated from the two of you. It wasn't as though you agree with the person. You agree with the results of something, that some third-party action, if you will, that you and he happen to agree with. Well, that's the way I look at the Supreme Court. I think it's very objective. I think if they found it was at all possible, they would disagree with Mr. Trump, and you'll find that in some instances they do. But it just so happens, I'm sorry to say this to you liberals out there, Mr. Trump is right in 90% of the things that he does. I'm sorry.
There you have it. There you have it, folks. All right, let's talk about, this is a very interesting case. This case comes out...
Excuse me, correct that, 100%.
No, there you go. All right. There you go, folks. Well argued, Richard. Well argued indeed. Let's talk about a case coming out of an appellate case here out of California. And this has to do with, a sensitive subject. This has to do with DUI, second-degree murder charges. And Richard, you've spent a lot of time defending certain cases, and you have just an expert wealth of knowledge when it comes to this kind of law here. And this is I'm going to just briefly talk about the facts of the case.
Yes.
Mr. Pierce went to a bar, and he had several alcoholic beverages. And he was involved in a street racing incident that then evolved into an accident, which involved a fatality. Mr. Pierce, his blood alcohol level was 0.24, which is a whole lot, folks. That's 3 times the legal limit.
Yes.
And he was involved in this accident, and he was charged with second-degree murder. And then so he filed an appeal, and the appeals court looked at the evidence here, and they relied on something precedent, the Watson precedent, that involves some factors here. Can you briefly talk about the Watson factors, Richard?
Yes. In fact, we have to give credit for the Daily Journal again. Friday, October 3rd, they have an article here written by, and I have to say that the 3 attorneys that wrote the article, I presume, or maybe they had someone else do it, but Mr. Gorin, Mr. Eisner, Mr. Hill, they did an absolute excellent job in describing the situation. Anyway, there is a case called People versus Watson, a 1981 case from the California Supreme Court, and it basically said, and it came as a surprise to me, because up until then, most situations where someone was driving under the influence resulting in a death or a serious injury, it was usually considered some kind of negligence or to the point, never murder, though. No one ever thought that a person driving a car was equivalent to knifing somebody or shooting or whatever. It was assumed to be extreme negligence and therefore manslaughter at the most. That is maybe 5 years in prison. However, the prosecutors got wise, and they utilized this case, and the Supreme Court agreed with them that this could Stan, this could qualify as second-degree murder. I'll read the elements, and then we're going to go back to the facts a little bit. The elements of the Watson case are the following. Number one, that you have a blood alcohol count above 0.08. Now, 0.08 is the legal limit. 3 times that would be 2.4, which is what Mr. Watson had in his bloodstream. The other one of the second element that I find very interesting is the pre-drinking intent to drive. Now, this is very interesting because what it's saying then is that before the driver, goes out to have a drink and be drunk and drive, he fully intends to drive even after he's been drinking, because that's what he's doing. He's driving to the place where he can imbibe. So that's a very important element.
Can we unpack that just for a second?
Yes.
Just for a second, Richard, because I mean, anytime that you have an intent qualifier in a statute, a test, and of course, as you know, many listeners know, a test is made up by the courts.
Right.
How do you get into that? I mean, so let's say I go to a bar and, you know, I drive myself to the bar,
right,
and then I intend to take an Uber home.
Yes.
And for some reason I can't get an Uber. Maybe I don't have cell service, so I'm like, I can't get an Uber. You know, it's getting late. I got to go home. And so then I drive my car, get a DUI. Would that qualify as an intent?
Well, see,
that factor?
Well, see, that's a good point, and that's what a good attorney, of course, which is what you're going to be eventually, is intent. Remember, we don't know exactly what's in a person's mind. All we can do is judge whether or not his mind is evil and to what extent before we will punish him criminally. So the point is, what was his intent? Now, he could argue that, hell no, I drove the car there, yes, for convenience, but my girlfriend or somebody was going to drive it home, and I always intended to take an Uber home. So that element might be omitted or not present in this particular case, and therefore it may act as a bellwether for him and maybe result in his maybe being convicted of a manslaughter instead of second-degree murder.
Okay.
Yes, it could. And of course, that's what makes for a good attorney, to amass all the facts that you can, that whether they favor or disfavor your client. Now, that's an interesting point that you raised, just for 1 second. People will say, Richard, how can you defend somebody that's innocent? And my answer, and most attorneys' answer, is guilty of what? If he's guilty of second-degree murder, is it possible he's actually only guilty of manslaughter?
Yeah.
So that's what you're arguing. You're arguing the facts in the light that favors your client the most. And if it's still going to be second-degree murder, then that's how it ends.
Yeah. All right, stick around, Richard. So hold that thought. We have 2 more elements to talk about, and then, as you mentioned, delve more into the facts of this case. And this is quite interesting because it, as I said, just based off what we just talked about, it's a very interesting discussion here about lawyering, about how the justice system works, especially in the criminal arena. Stick around, you guys. You are listening to Richard Nixon Live, the Legal Lounge here on CRN Digital Talk Radio. And as always, check out Richard's fantastic book, America: An Illusion of Freedom. It's available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and on iTunes. 4th edition available now. And also, you can check out our complete archives on Facebook, also on YouTube. Search for CRN on both those platforms. You can find us. Stay with us.
What are the most important issues facing people in California? Inflation and crime. Hi, Aaron here. We at California Deluxe Windows addressed both. We are making beautiful energy-efficient custom-fit windows right here in LA, saving on waiting time and the cost, so it beats inflation. And our security features are unlike anybody else. Steel-reinforced frames, metal cumlocks, night latches made from Lexan, almost unbreakable, like a football helmet, interlock, and more. This is our deflation security cell with 30% discount on top of it. And our installation is so precise, we do not break your stucco. Your house can be covered with potato chips and we wouldn't crack one. Call us 866-988-5100. 866-988-5100. 866-988-5100.
CSLB 774518. Some restrictions apply. Savor the past and savor the glory days of Las Vegas. Enjoy 70 years of true Las Vegas history as 4 generations of family wait to greet you at the legendary Bootlegger Italian Bistro. Wine, dine, and experience Mama Maria's award-winning original recipes while surrounded by original family photos and celebrity memorabilia. Enjoy piano artistry nightly with music from the Great American Songbook in our main formal dining room. The Bootlegger Italian Bistro, 7700 Las Vegas Boulevard South. In the entertainment capital of the world, the Bootlegger Italian Bistro, open 7 days a week. 7700 Las Vegas Boulevard South, in the entertainment capital of the world. It's Vegas, baby.
Are you ready to make a difference for the environment while helping the visually impaired at the same time? Then donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind today by calling 800-785-9618. Every donated vehicle will either be properly recycled in an eco-friendly manner or given a new life through reuse. Donating your vehicle is easy. Simply call 1-800-785-9618 and Heritage for the Blind will do the rest. They'll even arrange for your vehicle to be picked up at no cost to you. And for a limited time, when you donate your car, you'll receive a $200 restaurant voucher and a 2-night, 3-day hotel stay at one of 50 locations. Call 800-785-9618 right now to schedule your tax-deductible vehicle donation and make a positive impact on the environment while helping others. Heritage for the Blind, where every car donation counts and every person makes a difference. Call 1-800-785-9618 now.
And we are back. The Legal Lounge, Richard Nixon Live, streaming live coast to coast around the world on CRN Digital Talk Radio, CRNTalk.com. We're talking about this case, the Pierce case, adjudicated in this in the appellate courts based off some precedents of the Watson case, People v. Watson, 1981. And we talked about the first 2 elements of the Watson test, the blood alcohol level above 0.08. Number 2, a pre-drinking intent to drive. And there's 2 more, Richard. What are those other 2?
Thank you. The third one is knowledge of the hazards of driving while intoxicated. Now, you would think that most people know that, but what's interesting, too, is that the fourth one is, the fourth one, which is highly dangerous driving. Now, as we talked about in our show prep, if one were used to driving in a place where the speed limit is either, as you said, Mike, in Germany with the Overbahn, what do you call it?
Autobahn.
Autobahn.
Yeah.
Or even driving from here, California, to Las Vegas. I rarely talk to anybody who drove less than 80 or 85 all the way on 15, I think, is the road.
Yeah.
So based upon that kind of information, it's possible that the defense counsel's attorney could argue that under the circumstances, what he did, what the defendant did, even though someone else ended up dying, was severely injured, was perfectly reasonable.
The third one, the knowledge of hazards of driving while intoxicated.
Right.
Mr. Pierce brought this up during his hearing, during his appellate review of this particular case. He argued that he had no prior history of alcohol-related violations, such that he was not subjectively aware of the dangers of DUI driving. And Richard, I mean, please come back at me if you want about this. But I mean, every Tom, Dick, and Harry knows. I mean, they run PSAs all the time that drinking and driving is inherently dangerous and can lead to accidents which cause fatal injury or death.
Yes, but there are some who would argue that, to be honest with you, my father was a beer bar owner back in Detroit back in the year. He had people that came in there and probably drank too much. Some people, when they drink and they know they're feeling it, they drive slower.
Yeah.
They absolutely get on the cautious thing.
That was you'd like windows down, like one hand over the eye, and National Public Radio on.
But then there's other guys like myself, I must admit. Of course, I drove at that time a Corvette. I now, drive a Porsche. But in either times, if I go someplace and have a few drinks and I'm feeling it, as they say, when I get in that car, man, I'm driving twice as fast. I really am. And I don't even think of the police. I don't think of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So my point is, it's almost, and I would think it's subjective to the point where even the jurors would have a really a serious issue as to whether or not they could find this guy. Here's the problem. I think they could easily find this guy guilty of drunk driving. No problem at all. But are we going to hold him responsible for the death of these people if there's any possibility that something else caused the injuries? Because this man, if he gets 15 years, which is what he got for second-degree murder, 15 years to life. This guy's life is over.
And this article does not talk about any of his past criminal history, only in such, based off his own filings, that he never had an alcohol-related offense before. Let me posit this to you, Richard, and let me know your thoughts about this third Watson factor, knowledge of the hazard of driving while intoxicated. In my view, just logically thinking about this is an enhancement put in there to stop repeat offenders.
Yes.
So, like, for example, Mr. Pierce argued, hey, I had no prior history of alcohol-related violations such that he was not subjectively aware of the dangers of DUI driving. If he did have like 5 DUIs before, where we standing tall before the judge at each time, and the judge is saying like, look, this is what could happen, and he goes through the whole DUI, like they do that the classes afterwards where you watch like the terrible videos of the gore and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I've never done a DUI, but I've had friends who have, and they've gone through that. I can understand why they put that in there for recidivism.
Yes.
But they could have just as easily written in this enhancement, have you had a DUI before? I mean, they could have written that.
That's right. And the other thing too is this is why attorneys often counsel their defendants, their witnesses, whether they're going to take the stand or not, to dress in a very respectful manner, even though you might be, as Rush Limbaugh used to say, you look like your hair is a maggot-infested mess. No, get a haircut, shave.
Put a suit on.
Okay, exactly. You want to make, as they say, a good impression on the jury, because here's the other thing. You've got a mother there that's 40 years old. She has a son the same age, 22 years old. This guy is facing 15 years to life. Now, mother is debating 2 things. Number one, putting somebody like her son in jail for life, or the damage that he's done to some other family that they're now deceased.
Yeah, hold that thought, Richard. We're going to be right back after the break. Stay with us.
From basement podcasts
is this thing on?
to social media.
I'm so funny.
These days, it seems like just about anyone can share their 2 cents. But with so many voices out there, who can you trust? Well, how about LA's first and longest running talk station? For over 60 years, AM 790 KABC has been the trusted source of news and information for Southern Californians from San Diego to Santa Barbara and beyond. With powerhouse hosts like John Phillips, Randy Wang, Armstrong and Getty, Frank Motek, Guy Benson, and Vince Colonnese, you can rest assured you'll receive the news of the day with honesty, insight, truth, and above all, facts. On air on AM 790, online at KABC.com, and on the go with the free KABC app for news talk you can depend on. Trust us. Fast-paced, fact-based, AM 790 KABC.
1 out of 2 Americans thinks their life is worthy of a book. Here's another startling stat. You may be one of the 15% of people who bothered to start your book, and one of the 6% that got halfway through it, but your gem of an idea likely died. Or did it? Some published authors are making significant money, so join the ranks of the successful people that finished their books with help from Dorrance Publishing. Call right now, and our experienced editors and writers will explain to you what it's going to take to get your book completely written, published, and then taken to market to sell it. It's a free consultation, so call right now. Find out how much time and money it takes to finally get that book idea of yours published. Make your dreams happen. Call Dorrance Publishing right now.
800-786-1468. 800-786-1468. 800-786-1468. That's 800-786-1468.
Are you annoyed, angry, or maybe there's another word you want to use about where your tax dollars are going? Let's face it, the government does a terrible job of managing money, especially when it's yours and mine. Tax dollars are being wasted, and all the government does is have their hand out for more. So what do? They send you, the tax-paying American or business owner, a letter saying you underpaid your taxes, and you owe us a lot more. Don't laugh and don't cry. Call the Tax Resources Network now. Their trained experts can help negotiate between you and the IRS and take all the stress off your back. And if you're lucky, save you a boatload of tax money. So before you think about calling the IRS, if you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes or you haven't filed in a while, call us right now.
888-816-7701. 888-816-7701. 888-816-7701. That's 888-816-7701.
It's time to rediscover Ka'anapali Resort on Maui. Goodbye stress and work. Hello paradise and fun. Restaurants, hotels, golf, spas, hiking, shopping, activities of all kinds, or just lounging on the beach and listening to the waves. Visit Ka'anapaliResort.com, Kaanapali Resort.com. Ka'anapali Resort on the west side of Maui.
Hi everyone, this is Ron Say. I played baseball for the Los Angeles Dodgers, Chicago Cubs, and Oakland A's. My Dodger teams won 4 National League pennants and a World Series. Now I am tackling a new challenge. I am hosting a new sports show called We'll See About That. We will look at the aspects of sports, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Plus, you will be able to get my honest opinions on the big stories of the day. Join me for We'll See About That, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Pacific Time right here on crntalk.com.
And we are back in the Legal Lounge. Once again, thank you so much for spending some time with us. And I'm always wanting to remind people, make sure to check out Rich's fantastic book, America: An Illusion of Freedom. It's available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and on iTunes. You can also get the 4th edition now, both as a paper copy, also as an ebook as well. And Richard, are we going to work on the audiobook where you can read that?
Yeah, that's coming up next.
All right, fantastic. All right, we're talking about this Pierce case based off California versus Watson, which kind of set the precedent that allows people who are involved in fatal DUI accidents to be charged with second-degree murder.
Yes, it was the first time in 1981, if you will, that the Supreme Court allowed the prosecutors to go forward with charges of murder during a DUI that involved death. Before then, it was almost always simply vehicular manslaughter for a much lesser conviction rate, of course.
Interesting fact here, Richard.
Yes.
So this case, this Watson case,
yes,
1981.
Yes.
The founding of Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Is that it?
1980.
Yeah.
So.
See.
Those, I think one could see a correlation between the two. Let's talk, second-degree murder. What, second-degree versus first-degree?
Yes. Well, first-degree basically has some of the same elements, but even more so, or a fortiori, as lawyers like to say. Generally, if you are a contract killer, if you're hiding behind the bushes when the guy walks by and you let him have it, you could very easily get First Amendment. First-degree murder, which would be life for 25 years, 30 years. No,
death penalty in some states.
Yes, other factors enter into it, but it's the max. If you kill a policeman or several children or several people at the same time, or if there's torture involved and so on. There's a number of reasons for why you might get first-degree murder. In this particular case, what makes murder still in my mind a bit surprising is that it is they have a hard time finding the fact that there was premeditated situations. That is, that the bad guy, the defendant, thought about it before he did it.
He had a plan.
Yes, and this is why they have that second element in there that says that when you drove to the so-called bar, let's say, you always intended to drive back. And therefore, it's that intent while you were sober that makes you, as we know, we've talked about it before, Mike, that the criminal law only publishes people with evil intent. And so they're looking for intent in this mixture of facts and so on. And that intent they find is prior to the drinking, which basically says that since you're going to drink and you are driving, you're probably going to drive drunk, and that's the intent that's necessary to hold you to this high standard of murder.
Implied malice.
Yes.
Implied malice, sometimes referred to as the malignant heart murder. Can you unpack that?
Well, those words, they kind of go around in a circle because they define each other with each other. It simply means somebody of just such an evil heart or mind that they would put themselves and their feelings or their desires ahead of the fact that they might seriously kill somebody by their driving. Therefore, it's that, again, the law only punishes the evil mind. Now, another side issue to this is this. The law recognizes that someone under the age of 7 cannot form the necessary intent to commit a crime. Now, it just so happens that I watched a movie just recently called The Bad Seed. And everybody probably knows that she was guilty of killing people, and she was only 8 years old.
Yeah.
So the writers of that movie knew enough to not make her 6 or 7, but to make her at least 8. Otherwise, she could not be found guilty of anything.
Applied malice must be supported by both objective and subjective evidence.
Yes. That's a good point. That's a very, very simple point, but yet very profound in this case. What they're saying in this case, normally what you're looking for is either subjective or objective. For instance, if a person is negligent, let's say driving a car and he runs into somebody and hurts them and smashes their car in, the intent to do that is objective in the sense that would the average person have done the same thing and caused that injury? If the answer is yes, then the driver is liable for that injury. On the other hand, we rarely ask the defendant, did you mean to hit that person? Obviously, the answer is going to be no. So we don't apply the subjective standard. We apply only the objective standard. How would a normal, average person react in that situation? Would he smash into this car? What would he do? Okay, but in this particular case, again, they've gone out of their way to add elements to this vehicular second-degree murder, and that is, again, to not only check to see if there was subjective intent, but also objective. Now, in this particular case, I think you're going to tell us, Mike, that the defendant in the case objected to the subjective intent being assessed and found against him.
Yeah, he said, okay, so he was, and this gentleman had a dash cam in his car too, this Mr. Pierce.
That's interesting.
Mr. Pierce was drunk and he reached speeds of 129 and a 55.
Yes.
He blew a 24, but Pierce argued that the dash cam footage showed that he was in control of his vehicle moments before the collision.
Yes.
And that there was a dispute about whether he, in fact, was clipped by another of the other party's vehicles. So he was saying, even though I was drunk and I was driving 129 and 55, I didn't cause the accident. Someone hit me.
That's right.
Will that work in front of a jury?
I don't know, but I think that's the decision so far of the Fifth Circuit, and, it's something we can look forward to. The other thing that's interesting, Mike, that makes this issue very important to us is because we like to think that our show, one of the main tenets of this show is fidelity, I should say, truth, liberty, and freedom. And nothing could impact those items stronger than the criminal law and how one, if you're convicted of a crime, your liberty and your freedom are certainly curtailed.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing worse than the state can do to one other than deny them of life, liberty,
Correct.
pursuit of happiness. And
Correct.
so this is an interesting case. We're going to be looking at the stuff, similar cases moving forward. Stick around, you guys. We're in the Legal Lounge. Stay with us.
This is baseball's Ron Say. Nowadays, it seems like nothing is built to last. Phones, appliances, cars, computers, but the new Michelin Defender 2 tire is designed to outlast. With a quiet and comfortable ride, you will have the confidence you need on the roads, whether they're wet or dry. So goodbye to the short-lived and hello to something that lasts. Get your set of Michelin Defender 2 tires at Hank's Tires, 19951 Ventura Boulevard in Woodland Hills. Call my buddy Steve Goldberg at 818-340-4200. That's 818-340-4200. Hank's Tires is also built to last. Hank opened Hank's Tires in 1953, and we are the oldest tire and auto repair shop in the San Fernando Valley with 100% customer satisfaction. Hank's is AAA approved for all of your auto repair needs. Call Hank's Tires at 818-340-4200 and tell them Ron Say sent you.
You order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus, hollandaise on the side, a filet, medium rare. You unfurl your napkin with a flair, close your eyes, and prepare to listen. Ah, there it is. The sweet music you long to hear. The sizzle. The sizzle of a Ruth's Chris steak.
The most magnificent corn-fed prime beef, broiled to perfection at 1,800 degrees. Some call it a sizzle. We call it an anthem.
As the waiter approaches, you think, is this one mine or that one?
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Like Ruth always said, life's too short to eat anywhere else.
Make a reservation online at ruthschris.com or by calling 800-544-0808.
Back in the Legal Lounge. Appreciate you spending some time with us. As always, we're live Saturdays, 3 p.m. Pacific time, replays throughout the week on all CRN 1 and all multiple CRN networks. Also, we're available anytime you want as a podcast at crntalk.com/podcaster or on YouTube or Facebook. Find CRN on both those platforms. Let's talk about President Trump's economic agenda, Richard. And, you and I were chatting during the break that, he definitely seems to really want to help the average blue-collar guy.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the reasons we've seen a lot of tumult economically, especially here in California, but nationwide as well, is housing costs.
Absolutely.
And you're seeing a lot of people hold on to their houses for a very, very long time because of the very onerous capital gains tax.
Yes, absolutely.
And we might see some changes to that, correct?
Well, I hope so. Now, what we've got going here, President Donald Trump is considering supporting a bill to eliminate the capital gains tax on home sales. Now, very briefly, I want to stress here that he's spoken favorably about that. And early in July, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, that firecracker from Georgia, she's a Republican, of course, introduced the No Tax on Home Sales Act, H.R. 4327. This bill adopts housing policies similar to what they have in Canada and Switzerland. Under Greene's legislative initiative, any profit, no matter how large, would be tax-free if the home was a primary residence. Now, that's very important. And, of course, I can see right there that maybe what the Democrats would do if they're going to allow it and make a deal, do some horse trading, is it would exclude the very, 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 very rich people from it.
Yeah, and just to note, too, this is for primary residences only. And, if anybody's been paying attention to the news, you can kind of get in hot water about, what your primary residence is and what's not. It wouldn't affect rental properties or anything like that.
And you see, one of the things, and it might apply to farms, especially where people have farms, they live on in the residence. and they get they're cash poor, cash rich.
Well, they're land rich, cash poor.
That's right, and they get a big tax bill, and all of a sudden they can't pay it. And in order to pay the tax, they must sell their property.
Yes,
which of course is ridiculous. Anyway, let me go on to say just one example of this. The federal government maintains, long and short-term capital gains, but in the exemptions are allowed, with sellers permitted to exclude home sale profits of up to $250,000 for an individual, $500,000 for joint filers. Now, as an example, if a married couple purchased a 4-bedroom home for $400,000 in the 1990s and sold it recently for $1.2 million, their capital gains would be about $800,000. Now, under current law, that would exclude up to $500,000, leaving $300,000 subject to tax. Now, at a 20% capital gains rate, they would owe $60,000. Now, again, this is very gross because there are a lot of exemptions that would include redoing the home, replacing the roof, changing the furnace, etc. A lot of things that would reduce the amount of taxes, the tax amount, a taxable amount. However, as we said, there's so many times when a person, let's face it, person works, he has income, he pays his income tax on that income, and now that very same money that he now holds tax-free can now be taxed if he goes out and makes some money on his own, federal government not helping him, but the federal government's standing right there with their hand out saying, okay, buddy, if you make money, you're going to have to pay us something. If you lose, goodbye.
Yeah.
And so many people, including most Republicans, including Mr. Trump, we said we've got to stop that. These people should be able to keep much of the money that they earn.
So you work a job, you make income,
right?
You pay income taxes on that, both state and federal, depending on what state you live on. Then you buy a piece of property, and then you want to sell that piece of property. You got to pay capital gains on that.
Right.
Then when you die,
yes,
and you want to, whatever money you have left over that's not been taxed.
Yes.
That you've already paid capital gains tax on and already paid income tax on. Now you have to pay a death tax.
Absolutely. And see, again, what happens in those situations is a grandpa who passed away now, we got the estate tax that's due. And again, as we said earlier, Mike, as you got through with my fumbling, that they were property rich but cash poor, they end up having to sell their land to pay the tax. Now, again, if Chucky Schumer and his boys can't see the ridiculous nature of that, there's no hope.
Well, and also nowadays, your land, your equity in your house is become a de facto retirement account.
Yes,
for many Americans out there. And so, capital gains tax. Let's say you bought a house, 35 years ago. Now your house, you bought it for $200,000. Now it's worth $1 million.
Yeah.
You sell it because you want to downsize. You want to use the profits to live on.
Of course.
Now you're going to have to pay a very, what's it, like 36, 37%? Sure. And then sometimes you get hit double for state capital gains taxes as well. So I really hope this moves forward because one thing we want flexibility. But also, we have this a housing crisis, and people who are locked in their houses, especially in these very nice suburban neighborhoods with really good schools, it doesn't make sense for people without kids to move out.
That's right.
Because they're going to get killed on taxes. Now, a young family who wants to move into a nice neighborhood with nice schools, what are they going to do? All right, you guys.
Very well said, Mike.
Thank you very much. We're men of the people here, Richard. True men of the people.
We are men of the people.
Just like our president, Donald J. Trump.
Absolutely.
All right, stick around, you guys. We're right back to wrap things up. Stay with us.
You're experiencing pain, back pain, shoulder, elbow, or hand pain, pain from a sports injury. If so, schedule a visit with Dr. Michael Sheps, the leading expert in laser therapy for pain management. Call 310-873-4422 or go to drsheps.com. Experience Epic T, the breakthrough laser therapy system that Dr. Sheps developed to make you pain-free in less time. Laser therapy is a non-invasive, safe, and effective in-office procedure that penetrates deep into your skin without damaging the the tissue. It perfectly targets areas of pain to promote fast, natural healing. Relax your muscles, ease muscle spasms, joint stiffness, and arthritis pain while increasing blood circulation. For over 25 years, Dr. Sheps has helped Olympic athletes and sports enthusiasts alike get back in the game. Schedule your visit with Dr. Sheps at his Brentwood office in California. Call 310-873-4422 or visit drsheps.com. That's DRSHEPS.com. 310-873-4422. The Kahanapali Beach Resort on Maui is open, and we are welcoming guests. All properties are taking reservations now. Come visit. Go to kahanapaliresort.com. Experience Kahanapali Beach Resort on the tropical west side of Maui, just a short drive from the airport. All highways are open, a collection of relaxing resort properties, our award-winning beach, delectable dining, world-class restaurants, and activities for everyone. Snorkeling, surfing, sailboating, water sports of all kinds, beach and ocean dining, stargazing, beautiful sunsets every night, golf, sun, fun, food, wine, and all in paradise. Visit Kahanapali Beach Resort on Maui. Relax. Reservations are now available. Start with a visit to kahanapaliresort.com. That's KAANAPALI resort.com. The Kahanapali Beach Resort is waiting for you.
Attention, those of you looking to go on a fun vacation and see the world on the cheap. Today, the U.S. dollar is worth even more in other countries, so there's never been a better time to travel outside the USA. The dollar is worth over $1.30 in Canadian dollars, and it's the same for Australia. You can fly there today and have fun and maximize your travel dollar. Your U.S. dollar is worth over $3 in Brazilian reals, and it's worth over $18 in Mexican pesos. Plus, in Argentina, it's worth over $27 in Argentine pesos. Just think of the bargains you'll get. And the way you get the cheapest airfare to any destination is by calling Tickets That Cheap. Save up to 75% on your foreign vacation tickets. Don't wait. Call now.
802-317-1979. 802-317-1979. 802-317-1979. That's 802-317-1979.
And we are back in the Legal Lounge. Thank you so much, wrapping things up here. Really appreciate you guys spending some time with us. This is an important story, and I'm sure we might touch upon this in the future, but Dr. Nixon and I you only have so many hours or minutes in the hour, so we want to talk about a very insidious process that is happening, Richard.
Yes.
Death by 1,000 cuts, you might call it.
Yes.
As of now, the Chinese own 330,000 acres of United States farmland, and that's only the farmland. There is over 500,000 acres of other commercial property owned directly by Chinese foreign nationals.
Yes. Now, again, my reaction initially is to be against it, but then when I think about it, there are probably many, if you will. There is such a thing as a good Chinaman, if you will. Not part of we tend to think they're all from Red China and they're all communists and they'd all kill us if they could. No, there are a lot of very good, if you will, reasonable Chinese people as well.
The entrepreneurial spirit in Chinese culture is very strong.
Oh, absolutely. I know Maria tells me about the Philippines and how the Chinese have pretty much bought that place up too, or trying to.
A lot of places in Africa too.
And Germans too. Our Germans are taking part of the Philippines. Anyway, in this particular subject, what we're concerned with is the fact that the Chinese appear to be buying agricultural land somewhat close to military bases, and that's what seems to be rattling some of the people. And I think, Mike, you've found some information regarding how many states are now taking action against themselves. Now, before you do that, let me say this, that I remember back in law school, we had a case where, if I'm not mistaken, it was property in Oklahoma. The people from Poland wanted to buy that property, and the Supreme Court said, nope, you cannot discriminate against, and those, I'm going to use the word foreigners, but I'm not sure what the proper word was. Mm-hmm. In any event, the person had to sell if they were going to sell to these people, could not discriminate. As it turns out, I could not find that. Now, maybe I was dreaming, I don't know, but I can't find that case. In any event, we do have laws that you cannot discriminate regarding sex,
Race,
national
gender,
origin,
yeah.
race, and so on. However, I don't see anything wrong with, and I think Trump is already doing this, and some of the states, of simply saying we are permitted to refuse to sell to people who the country has alleged are terrorists, have interest in
hostile foreign powers.
That's right. Good word. And so what I'm saying is we should be able to get around it and not be a violation of the Constitution to refuse to sell. However, before I forget this, if you, as one man said, everything can be bought. If you offer a guy enough, a guy's got a nice Corvette like mine, and it's only worth $50,000. But and the guy doesn't want to sell it, it's sentimental. But he said, "I'll give you $3 million." Well, okay, guess what? It's sold. And that's the same thing with with this property too. You tell him don't sell it because the guy's a communist. So what? His money is green. It's American, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I think your Corvette with the 4-speed's worth more than $50,000. Yes, as Richard mentioned, we're running short on time here. Is that certain states,
Yes.
Certain states, when Kristi Noem, who's now in the cabinet, when she was governor of South Dakota, she wanted to propose legislation to stop this investment from communist China. And it's not like they're communist China itself. The government itself is buying this land.
Yes,
these are private Chinese companies. But the problem is, Richard, is that anybody knows is that these large corporations, especially the profitable corporations in China, are so intertwined with the Chinese government that it's hard to dictate what is and what's not.
It's my understanding that any American company that wants to do deals in China, they have to convert all the knowledge, all the secrets that company has, or they won't be able to do business in China. So certainly they'll do that to their own.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also know who to pay off, because one thing about China and business in China is it's very corrupt. Richard, so sorry we're out of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be back next week here in the Legal Lounge.